like when we crash, whatever, our bodies, what are some things our bodies do that, most of us, I crash, all right, let me brush it off and I'm going on. And we don't think about what's happening internally, what is going on inside there that we probably should look at more. All right, so I'm here with Parker, and I forgot Kelsey, and some local chiropractors in the area. So I wanted to bring you guys on because huge mountain bike town. I'm sure you guys get a lot of mountain bikers coming through here. And one of the things I want to discuss, well, first, thanks for coming on. Thanks for having me at your facility. And I think, so a lot of things I want to discuss that I don't think people talk about is what happens to the body when there's a crash and stuff like that. Before we get into that, let's talk about your background and stuff like that.
Yeah. So grew up in Oklahoma. Got injured a lot in high school. So that kind of preempted what am I going to do? Physical therapy, chiropractic. Started actually to develop headaches, like chronic, like everyday headaches, and started getting adjusted by a chiropractor and realized that's what I need to be doing. So quickly changed from PT to chiropractic, went to chiropractic school, just fell in love with it, absolutely love trying to help people, being able to do the things that they love every day, not just necessarily older people that are constantly in pain, but also athletes, right?
Yeah.
Like people that are in their 30s that are trying to remain active for as long as they can. So many people come into here with, low back pain or really anything going on, but want to ride, 50, 100 miles a week, and that begins to take a toll after, years and years of riding.
So you went into chiropractic because you were having headaches?
Yeah.
That's insane. Most people were like, I'm just going to take some pain medicine or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I tried different things first, ibuprofen, all of that, but it's not fixing anything.
Yeah, it's like Band-Aid it.
Right, like it'll relieve it for a few hours, kind of dull the pain a little bit, but it was every day for me. Not to the point where I needed to shut myself out, but enough every day that I was like, okay, something has to change. I've got to try something different, because I started to the point where it was like, okay, I got to get you on antidepressants, right? Low dose, because that's how they're treating some people with headaches, with antidepressants. Mm-hmm. And then obviously that's going to have other side effects with that too.
And we would be going to restaurants and just with friends. He would, the radiating noise, we couldn't even go hang out with friends. We couldn't go to coffee shops. Pretty much we were pretty secluded for a while. He'd pull over from driving, and it was pretty life-changing. It just happened around 24-ish maybe.
About 24 probably.
And so things just develop later in life that people don't realize, but you can slowly do things to your body that impact it. It just, pain is lost to show up. And so that's what happened. And he was on an antidepressant for a little bit, and he said he gained a little weight. He felt just pretty gross.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty amazing what chiropractic has done just for our family.
Yeah, that's pretty, that's insane. Yeah, most people wouldn't think that maybe if I become a chiropractor or go down this route, that's pretty cool. Yeah. So like me, you guys just told me you moved here not even a year ago, really.
Right. Yeah.
June 7th.
So what brought you, I'm June 28th. So
wow.
We're close.
Yeah.
So you guys are from Edmond, is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And then, but what brought you to Bentonville?
So we came out here to hike a few times when we still lived in Oklahoma, and loved the area, because around Edmond, Oklahoma City area, there's nothing really to do as far as being outside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something we both love to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went up to school in Kansas City, which is actually a fairly short drive down here as well. And we'd come down here and float the Elk River, every month, pretty much there for a little bit.
We would camp, hike, float with our German Shepherd.
Yeah. And she had family here, and we were like, you know what? We want to open a practice. We want to set up where we want to stay and live and grow a family. And this is a perfect outdoor community that we'd love to be a part of.
That's pretty sweet.
I feel like we're in heaven every day, honestly.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
We're like a mile from the Greenway.
Yeah.
Can pretty much get anywhere.
Yeah.
It's growing fast, rapidly fast.
Yeah.
It's but yeah, everybody's been super nice and super welcoming, and it's almost like, hey, welcome, but hey, don't let everybody in.
I know. It's like, we got here, but now you can't.
Yeah.
It's like
So, like I said, one of the main things. Well, first off, what's one of the biggest myths of chiropractor that I guess from my mind, people are just, what do they think? Oh, I'm never going to go that because of such and such.
I feel like the main thing I hear is like once I start going, I always hear like I always have to come back.
Yeah.
And one of the things we try to do here is like, yeah, we want to get you out of pain, but we want to get you just past that point of you take the tiniest little tumble, you don't end up right where you were before. But also, like, people realize that they feel great even though if they're not in pain, right? A lot of tension's released. They feel like they can move better, mountain bike better. It's not that you have to keep coming, right? Like people just realize how good they feel when they do.
Yeah.
And so that's really the big kind of myth I feel like I always hear.
Yeah. A lot of times after he does his 6 or 12 visit care plan, a lot of people just choose to come once a month just to keep their body stable, moving good. Maybe they're like him. Like once a month is like his headache medication. Like it's pretty life-changing. He's not having to take, antibiotics anymore. This is his medicine is once a month, and it's all natural healing, which is the best healing.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a friend back home. She's a chiropractor, and she got me going, and I was like, man, I feel like just better. They're like, yeah, you had from mountain biking, everything was kind of shifted forward. Your shoulders were shifted forward. You don't know that.
Yeah.
And then so they pull back. So that's kind of what I want to get into is like when we crash, whatever, our bodies, what are some things our bodies do that, most of us, I crash, all right, let me brush it off and I'm going on. And we don't think about what's happening internally. What is going on inside there that we probably should look at more.
I feel like the most thing I see is people get out and mountain bike and don't necessarily warm up or stretch afterwards and before, and that really helps because when you think of when you're riding, obviously your legs get warmed up, but your spine's not kind of ready for that jarring motion, right? You sat at a desk for 8 hours and it's like, okay, now let's go ride 10 plus miles on a hard mountain biking trail, and it's just not ready for it. Our body's really good at compensating for things. So you take a slight injury of, a joint's not moving well in the low back, the brain tells those muscles around it to kind of protect that joint, right? So the muscles spasm. So the complaint I hear all the time is, well, it's just a muscle thing. I don't know if I need to be adjusted, right? But our pain receptors are in the muscle, right? That's where most of our pain receptors are. Mm-hmm. So that muscle is painful because we need to get the joint moving better again. So as far as like someone coming in for care, like, yeah, please get adjusted, but just move your body, like do yoga, massage is great too, but those are all things I recommend people do regularly to keep their spine moving well.
Yeah, like one thing you were showing me here at your office is you don't just go in and adjust. You have a bed that's like kind of gets the body like moving, a little flow, and then you adjust them.
Right, yeah, and it's a good way to kind of get people to relax for a few minutes as well, so they're not tense when they're getting adjusted. But it's a big rolling pin, kind of helps improve that spinal motion. If you've ever seen anyone do like the cat camel kind of position, that's kind of what it's encouraging people to do.
Yeah. So, what do you think one of the most movements that happen on the bike is probably when they crash or whatever, shoulder shift forward and it never really comes back? And do you see that more than anything?
Yeah, I know the most injured joint is definitely the collarbone for sure. I've x-rayed at least a handful of being here less than a year of fractured and broken collarbones. And what tends to happen is that shoulder blade does come forward, right, after having their arm stretched out, trying to, brace for that fall. But it's also that spinal motion in the mid-back as well. So that area of the spine tends to lock up just like the shoulder tends to too, but the shoulder can't get back because that mid-back is not moving well. So adjusting the spine and the mid-back oftentimes helps relieve a lot of shoulder pain.
Okay.
Coming from someone that's had 3 shoulder surgeries.
Dang.
As well, yeah.
I have a cough button. Next time, let me know. I'm just so yeah, one time my shoulder was pressed forward, but I was like, man, my muscles are achy. Not really achy, but I was like, it feels inflamed. And my chiropractor lady was like, well, like what you were saying, the muscles around it are like, because you're out of joint, it's just kind of like inflaming that muscle, that joint around it.
Yeah.
So the next thing, what I was saying on your all social was, you guys do like babies. And I'm all for that, but I know some people probably are big, like, they're probably not big advocates of that.
Right.
I guess just go into that, I mean, what you think.
So the typical things that we look for as far as like having a baby in the office is, the number one thing is ear infections. Ear infections is what we typically see a lot of. And so it's getting that ear to move well, right? Which is very simple motions that actually show parents that they can do themselves. But as far as ear infections are routinely found in babies, is because their eustachian tubes are completely level like this. As we get older, they start to angle down, so they drain easier. Babies, it's very helpful, especially with some that tend to develop them more easily, is to get those ears moving, get adjusted so that they do drain better and that they don't have ear infections. So there's been a handful of studies that shown a huge correlation and reduction of ear infections with like regular care.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And of course there's some other things like colic, which is just a blanket term that some MDs use just to describe a baby that cries a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? It's just that the baby cries so often in a certain amount of the day. And so it's finding out, well, why are they crying, right? Are their ears constantly irritated? Is their neck constantly irritated, right? Because they can't tell you, right?
Yeah,
So it takes someone trained to know if it is irritated or not. And oftentimes it's really fun because they really let you know, because if you find a spot that's irritated, they do let you know, right? Like in their own way, not like, oh yeah, that is tender. But it's so gentle adjusting a baby. Mm-hmm. I've heard it compared to like, checking the ripeness of a tomato, right? You press on it very lightly just to see how it feels. That's kind of comparable to a baby.
He's just using his thumbs. People only see adults getting that like pops. It's like very gentle movements with his thumbs.
Yeah, they're probably thinking, their first mindset is, oh, I've seen an adult and they're getting cracked and everything.
Yeah.
They're like, why would you do that on a baby?
Yeah.
And it's very light.
It's a completely different thing.
And we have a 2.5-year-old, so he adjusted her day 1 at the hospital, in the hospital. And I guess it'd be day 0 or something.
Yeah, it's like 12 hours.
I don't even know what you'd say for that. And it was pretty crazy. Like, of course, like a baby might cry or something. So he adjusted her lightly with his fingers on her neck or head. And right after he did his, gentle adjustment, she cried for a second, and then it was like this peace and calming that went over her whole body. Because she's having, we hurt herself mountain biking, all this stuff. They're having so much force in the birth canal when they're going through, like, they need it more than us.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. How long is, I'm sure it's been around for a while, but like when you were going through school, did you think you were going to adjust babies?
No, I really didn't. And not until I got into the later part of my schooling, because I was like, oh, I'm some like 6'1", 200-pound guy. Like, what mom's going to want to bring their tiny infant baby to me? But no, they don't. As long as they can like see it in your eyes that you like really care and that you know what you're doing, they don't. It doesn't matter, right? Like.
Yeah.
A lot of times the parents do come in first, or like with kids, it's word of mouth. Like one baby comes in, they're feeling better, and then all the moms are like, their baby's sleeping better. They maybe came in for ear infections, and now they're sleeping better.
Really?
Our daughter, she was born with cleft palate, which means she can't suck. And so chiropractic, she would be called a colicky baby, right? She cried all the time because she couldn't be breastfed, because she couldn't suck. And so she had this special piece in her bottle that would allow the milk to come out of the bottle. And so adjusting her, like, I mean, she was sleeping good. He would do this, like, what would you do on her stomach that would help, like, release, like, gas? Or
So there's a huge amount of development in the GI system for babies, like that first 2 years. And so we have muscles in between each opening, like small intestine to large intestine, for instance, in babies. And it's a little sphincter that can spasm really easily. So there's a release you can do on the stomach of infants to help that release. And oftentimes they'll like immediately like have a bowel movement or start letting out gas or things like that.
I would wake him up in the middle of the night, literally be like, because, you know, like they said, colicky, they are crying more. Well, there is an issue. I would wake up in the middle of the night. Not everyone has that luxury. Say, fix this issue now. A lot of people have to wait. But it was life-changing for us. I can't imagine having a baby that cries all the time and thinking, oh, this is just normal. It's not normal.
Do you think, it's kind of hard to explain or ask, but do you think you would have gone to, if you weren't a chiropractor, what do you think you would have like even known, or would have been, oh, we got a crying baby?
Yeah, I wouldn't have known at all. Like growing up, I didn't go to a chiropractor. It was like I didn't know they existed, honestly, right? Like I maybe saw a sign occasionally, but I would never think to go to one.
Right, yeah, I didn't go to one till a lot later, and then, just like, so I went back home for Easter, and the lady chiropractor, she's like, she's got me laying flat. She's like, hey, your right leg is shorter than your left. I'm like, what? And like, I didn't know an adjustment was going to like change that. And then like she popped my hip and she's like, yeah, we're good now. Like, I guess it's from a crash. And then like it just, but it wasn't like, you know, like in inches or anything.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't like a true, like, my leg's 2 inches shorter.
Yeah. But then she's like, yeah, now you're good. It's just, I don't know. I'm fascinated with the body and like how like a crash can do something that we don't think is messed with us, but in reality, coming into you is like, all right, well, yeah, you got some serious things going on here.
Right, yeah. And it's fun when someone comes in with low back pain, but it's like, okay, what else is going on too? Like, are your ankles moving well? Are your knees moving well? Because those can be adjusted too, right? There can be other problems causing that continuous low back pain. Yeah,
so I was telling her that I slammed a tree on my thigh, so it's like bruised. But all the bruises pushed to my knee, and it made me super nervous. And for like a day, I couldn't walk. I'm like, man, did I tear my knee? But I think all the inflammation just pushed down. And someone's like, yeah, you just got to get your leg back up, kind of go back down. I don't know about like that, but it's definitely getting better. Nice. But yeah, I'll probably have to come in and see you guys once here the next week or so.
Yeah, definitely.
So I put out on social some questions, and one was, what's your thoughts on the McKenzie stretch? If you know about that.
McKenzie stretch.
I think it's almost like downward dog, or you're like pushing up the front. The way I looked at it online.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it enough, honestly.
Okay.
I know there's a McKenzie method where he goes through different core exercises, like a bird dog.
Yeah, bird dog, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, different things like that. If that's what they're referring to.
Yeah. So I guess, we'll just go with that. What's your thoughts on that?
So there's a few exercises that they do, bird dog being one of them. I'm blanking on the other two exercises. But really it's what he's doing is what he's advocating for is strengthening the core, right? It's that argument of like, do you need more mobility or more stability? And it's really both, right? Like typically we need more mobility in our spine, right, at certain areas, and then we need a stronger core and musculature to help limit any injuries, right? If you have a fall and your core is stronger, right, you're less likely to injure a disc, so to speak. So just practicing core exercises and things like that tend to offset a lot of injuries that you might have.
Mm-hmm. Is it how do you put this, more of a urban legend, like if I just build up around if I build a big giant muscular back, I'm better than somebody who's not?
No, not necessarily. Typically a lot of the people you see, if you'd see any power lifters or anything like that, they're pretty beat up.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you want to operate in a way that the most dangerous position for your low back is like flexing forward and then rotating. But you need to be able to do that, right? You need a strong core to be able to brace and then do those movements. If we're constantly in a position where we're only strengthening our core in a certain way, and like doing a plank or a bird dog, it's like, well, that's not really functional, right? Like, I don't go around with a stiff back and stiff abdomen all day long. Right? Like, I need to be able to move. So just adding as much strength as possible isn't always the best thing. And they tend to be very, very stiff people in general. It's not exactly healthy for the disc either. It puts a lot of stress on the joints in the low back.
What is preferred method of sleeping? Like, people are stomach, back, side. I've always heard if you're gonna sleep on your stomach, you might as well cut a hole in your mattress because you're basically like concaved.
Yeah. That's really the only way that I tell people not to sleep is on their stomach. Because really on your back can be good, and on either side can be good too. And it really just depends on your mattress too, right? Like, if you're sleeping on a cloud, then maybe on your back's not the best option, right? Because then you might go to a point where you're really concave. Or if you have a really firm mattress, laying on your side might not be that comfortable, right? Because then you're just concave in another position, right? So it's finding that happy medium. Because I know for like us, like, I like a mattress that's pretty firm, and she likes it pretty soft, right? So I wish there was an easy way for me to be like, get this mattress and get this pillow. It just doesn't seem to work out like that. We're all different.
Mm-hmm.
What about if you're on your side, but then you have your high leg, low leg because you're on the side, and you bring that leg over. Now, are you is your spine now crooked, and you're kind of like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're kind of rotating it in an awkward way and on one direction. Now, if it kind of is similar to golf, right? If you're always rotating in that same direction, you're going to develop an imbalance in that spine. It's funny because I actually have a lot of golfers coming here too, because it's the sport that's maybe most hard on your spine, right?
Really?
Because that rotation is really difficult. I tell any of those golfers to swing in the other direction too, right? Like, switch lefty and righty and do both. But as far as sleep is concerned, like, throwing a hip over one side isn't a great position either.
Yeah, I've caught myself doing it. I'm like, this can't be good.
I used to do that a lot. I used to sleep on my stomach a lot too.
Yeah, me too.
It's probably why I had shoulder surgery.
That's why I was thinking, like, the shoulders,
Yeah, I would throw my arms up there too, and luckily for me, that broke that habit, right? Like, having my arm in a sling for weeks, not going to catch me doing this anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't know what forced me to switch back over, but I just knew I had to. I just knew that was part of it. I was like, you're not going to be able to go on. I think I was just waking up and like, God, my lower back's smoked every day. Yeah. Inversion tables. Thoughts on inversion tables? Good?
Yeah, I like them. There's some people that can't do them, right, if they've had any kind of surgeries or anything like that. As far as fusions for the low back, it seems like they're becoming more and more common, which is unfortunate because it rarely reduces those people's pain over time.
Yeah.
But for the most people, inversion tables are great.
I guess if someone doesn't know what's inversion table doing to a person.
Right. So essentially, it's allowing your blood to flow back to the heart, right, which is good for that heart health. It's also attempting to open up those spinal discs a little bit more, right? So gravity isn't working for you as opposed to against you. We're actually tallest, right, first thing in the morning, and as we go throughout the day, we actually shrink because of that fluid, like, leaving our spine, and obviously in a very small amount, but we are actually smallest. We are actually tallest in the morning, and that inversion table is kind of that same mechanism, right? It's helping get fluid back into those joints.
Huh.
Yeah.
So should people do it more in the evening?
Yeah. Either, throughout the day, for sure.
And then, so say someone has one, what's a good length of time laying in one?
Gosh, that depends, because honestly, I get a head rush.
Yeah.
So I can't do it for very long, like a couple of minutes, and I'm like, all right, I gotta get out of this thing.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to get back over.
Yeah.
That makes me nervous sometimes. I don't know why. I'm like, I could just tell somebody, hey, I'm stuck in this thing, but it makes me nervous.
Yeah. I feel like it's pulling the hair out on my legs too when I get on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Who do you most recommend using that inversion table?
Typically disc injuries. Yeah, they'll fare pretty well with those most of the time. I definitely have it evaluated first before you go ahead and buy one and use it, 4 hours a day.
I'm gonna play off you saying disc injury. How would someone know, like, oh, I just got a tight back? How are they gonna know whether they have a disc injury?
Yeah. So usually with a disc injury, a good way to check is actually to lay on your back and do a straight leg raise. So one at a time. And if you're experiencing like excruciating amount of pain with one side, it's a good indication that you've probably herniated one of those discs in the low back.
Okay.
And the good thing with, I always get this all the time, is like, how is chiropractic gonna help a disc injury, right? Because I can't push the disc back into place, right? The main recommendation that physicians give for disc injuries is to walk.
Really?
The reason being is to put motion into the spine. Well, it's like, what are we doing with an adjustment? That's my number one goal, is to put motion into the spine. More specifically, right? I want to adjust your fifth lumbar, not your entire spine, right, when you're walking, so that it helps that disc heal. And it's the only way that our discs actually get nutrients, right? They don't have a very good blood supply, so that movement of the spine is actually how they get that nutrients till they're able to heal faster.
So with walking, are you talking? Do you prefer like big hookah with they got, is it hookah, the shoes with the big
Hoka, yeah,
Hoka.
big soles, or like flat soles? It doesn't matter. Just walking.
Just walking in general, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wear Hokas. There's too much air there. I feel like I'm walking on air, and I feel like I'm off balance almost.
Yeah, very.
It's different.
Our buddy has them, and they're like, "Oh, what's with your orthopedic shoes?"
Yeah, it just depends on, like, I have high arches, so I have orthopedic,
Right.
I wear the good feet in my soles and
Yeah,
everything.
I have super high arches. That one time I was at a shoe store, a running store, and the guy's like, "You might have the highest arches I've ever seen."
Yeah.
One time I was funny story. I was dating this girl, and I guess the first time she saw my feet or whatever, she goes, why are you like stretching your foot? I go, no, it's relaxed. She's like, that's impossible. And I was like, no. And then like I did like make it tight. She goes, Jeezel. Like, I think it's almost where I think it would be a whole nother size, like if I made it flat. I don't know.
I used to have fractures in my heels because of high arches. So
Really?
I think that's a whole nother issue that people like need to go and get that work done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which you do ankles.
Yep. Adjust ankles all the time for sure.
How do you adjust an ankle? You just like.
Yeah. So I'll adjust. So if you're looking at the leg, there's two bones that leg sits on. It's the talus and the calcaneus. So that heel. So there's a certain way to pull and adjust it so that it moves better, because there's two big joints there that still need to move properly, right? And so a lot of people, when those joints get adjusted, they tend to be able to squat better too. Like,
really?
Which is really cool for those CrossFitters that come in.
Yeah.
And jump roping, they always say it doesn't hurt.
Jump roping,
Who else really likes that adjustment? People in our office. I'm trying to think of.
Pregnant ladies.
Well, pregnant
Like
ladies.
it.
No, I was trying to think. There's some people have that feet issue. They said this really helps. I can't think right now.
Do they know to come in for ankle, or you're like, hey, let me try this?
No. Typically, no one knows that you can adjust ankles or wrists and shoulders and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I got my wrists adjusted, and I was like, whoa, that was weird, but that feels good.
Right, yeah. Especially with all these mountain bikers and that constant pounding position with your wrists like this. Like, pretty much all of them need to be adjusted.
When I was in high school, I was on a four-wheeler, and I was crossing this like field, and it was high weeds, but underneath was washed out from like ruts and water flow, and it just threw me, and I have 2 hairline fractures in both my wrists. And then the doctor, like, literally they got up like softballs inside, and the doctor was like, yeah, you'll be fine till like your 30s. Well, this one's never I know, this one's never given me any trouble. This one, like, now I can really like feel it.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's like a little hook bone in there or some kind of thing that it's got a little crack in it, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I actually broke my wrist playing indoor soccer. Guy hit the ball so hard it hit my wrist and broke it. I was just normal position running, and I couldn't do planks like normal people with the hands flat. I would almost like either have to use those plastic things that keep your wrist straight, or I would kind of like spider them to hold it up straight. He's been doing the wrist adjustment probably last like 3-4 years, and I can do planks normal.
Really?
I think that's probably our mountain bikers' favorite adjustment. A lot of them, even if maybe they don't need too much, they're like, I keep coming because the wrist adjustment.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably one of their favorite ones. Like they feel so much more mobility. And,
I can't do a push-up because of this one.
Really.
I can't put. What's weird is if you get those like those things you put your wrist on or your hand, I'm good. But as soon as you put weight or this bends, no way.
Oh, we got you.
All right.
Or he does, not me.
So with the back, we kind of talked about this. Power muscles versus fast twitch. I guess what's more? What do you want more of? Or I have to look back at I think I missed part of the question. What would you rather have, more power muscles or fast twitch? Or what can go out more? What is going all of it?
Given those options, I'd say fast twitch, right? Like, so I want, if I'm about to crash, right, or if something's about to happen, I want to be able to respond quick.
Oh, okay. What helps your back more, power muscles or fast twitch?
Helps your back more. I don't know. I'd say it's probably both, right? You need to be kind of a jack of all trades kind of thing. A good blend of both for sure. Yeah.
But like we said, you don't want to be just a power lifter and you just got these big giant muscles, right?
Right, and you don't know how to use them kind of thing. Can't respond quick.
Is bad back, is that ever genetics or is that all myth?
I don't think it's ever genetics.
Yeah.
You see families that sit the same, right, and have the same habits, so I feel like that's why people say it's genetic, but it's not necessarily. Your spine's the same as your dad's, so you're gonna blow out your disc too. It's not necessarily how it works.
Yeah. I would think back. You're just following in the bad habits. You're just following.
Right.
Okay, so what is, if it's not genetics, what are good how do you beat, like, working out? What are good workouts for your back?
Primarily, I like yoga.
Really?
Yeah. And I say that, and I don't even do it as often as I need to. But
do you guys have a local spot you wanna, or do you guys do it at home?
We do it at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone to Yoga Story a few times.
Yeah, she likes Yoga Story.
Fifth Street Market, I've gone there a few times, and then the Red Barn will host some.
Okay.
But I've done Beachbody Online. I make him do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's just an easy one. Or YouTube. I mean, especially now that I'm pregnant, I pretty much do yoga like 5 times a week. And I always tell him, make sure you're taking care of your body because you're the one taking care of other people's body.
Yeah.
So
I like the hot yoga. You tried that?
No, I haven't.
Man, once I went hot yoga, it's hard for me to go back not hot.
I just pictured just sweat being everywhere.
Well, I thought I was like, I don't know, I'm not gonna say tough guy, but like I was like, this ain't even hot when I got in the first time I went, and I was like, I'll never sweat. Next thing you know, I'm like soaked, like the floor's soaked. I'm like, wow, because it's just slow, but it's like hard stuff, you know.
Yeah, I need to try it for sure. No, but I always recommend people do it like daily, right? Like you don't have to do an hour every day. Just do like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you wake up, do a few poses, right? And if you need to learn a few poses, then go to a place for a while and then learn some stuff you can do on your own.
Yeah. What about yoga versus Pilates? Is Pilates like this? I don't know what that is really, honestly.
I haven't done it personally, but yeah, it's more.
Yeah,
core
Pilates is
stuff,
probably more
exercises.
core, and they mix in some yoga.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times, sometimes it's either like yoga and Pilates kind of mix a little bit.
Yeah.
Unless they're doing that one Pilates machine, but that's more for your core and leg strength. They're both great, I think.
Yeah. But as far as workouts, like I actually really liked using kettlebells.
Okay.
Right, because those awkward weights are a really good way to build core strength too. Right.
Yeah.
Anything presses overhead for my shoulders have definitely saved my shoulders. Right, because how bad I've injured them in the past before, but kettlebell swings, all that kind of stuff.
So your shoulders are good now, completely good?
Oh, yeah. They've been great. Yeah. My last surgery is probably 10 years ago.
Okay. Do you think when people are getting adjusted, the one thing they tense up is the neck when you're adjusting the neck?
Yeah, it's typically in the neck. And honestly, there's a few ways. People don't realize this. You don't have to be like laying face up. There's other ways that we can position you so that it's easier for you to relax.
Yeah.
I think communication is like key. Sometimes people are nervous to say anything. Of course, him asking, is this working okay for you? And then them communicating with their chiropractor. Like chiropractors, they've gotten a lot of schooling and also weekends of seminars. And so I think there's 3 ways that you do mostly: face up, face down, and then on the chair.
Yeah, like seated in a chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But what's funny about neck adjustments is like the only people that ask me not to do it are guys.
Really?
So like, all right, you guys have been watching way too many Bruce Lee movies. Like, we need to dispel a few myths. Like, I couldn't actually hurt you to that extent, even if I wanted to, right? Like, give you a little muscle strain sprain, but that would be it, right? And that's insanely uncommon. If you were going to get hurt, I would have gotten hurt when I was practice on for 4 years during school, right?
Yeah, I think, I don't know what it is. Like, if it's, am I going to be stuck in that position, or it's always also a theory of, am I going to have more pain? Like, is it ever going to, I know they're trying to help, but I feel like people always think a shooting pain through the neck is the worst thing ever, right?
Yeah.
I think they just tense up. Like, even like if I go back home, they're like, relax. I'm like, I'm trying. I don't know why. I know what you're doing. Like,
Right.
I don't know. It's just weird.
I think that's an important reason to have like different positions that you can put people in to see what's going to work best. Because there have been a couple times people have called, be like, I don't know if I can make it today. My neck's hurting really bad today. And it's like, no, that's when you need to come in. You need to come see me.
You need to come now.
Right? Like, this is the time to come.
Do you ever have like people with like placebo, like you fixed them and everything, but I know they want to keep coming back and stuff like that, but you're almost like, hey, you're good.
Right. Yeah. No, there's been a few times where I've been like, you know what? Like, I'll take x-rays of their spine. I'm like, you know what? I think maybe a couple adjustments. You know, they say they're in a lot of pain. They feel a little tense, but your spine looks great. Like, I don't think you need all this care that you may think you do. And sometimes people just like to be hurt.
Yeah, or like to like just come in and hang out, like
Yeah. Come in and talk to Kelsey, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of times, like those people, he'll just a couple adjustments to help them, and then we just say maybe once a month. But some people just like, they're like, I like coming once a week, and we're like, you don't need to come that much, but I mean, if you want to come in, that's fine. I mean, it's all natural healing, so it's only going to help you, but it's just like
it's not sustainable. Right?
Yeah. A lot of times we'll have that will be a big drop off. Then you won't see them for a couple months, and they'll do it again. It's like, you know, it's kind of like a car. You just need a car tune up every now and then, unless you're broken down, you know.
Yeah. When you like transfer them or transition them to like, hey, just come once a month.
Yeah.
Where like how far? Like, have you have gone, I don't know, like, back terms or anything, or body terms,
Care
but,
plan or something.
Yeah, like, you're like, all right, it's changed this degrees or this thing, like, what are you looking at?
As far as, like, how, like, we're
like say,
moving on in care because, like, you're doing well?
Yeah, like, let's just say they were coming in once a week or twice a week because their back was all out of whack.
Yeah.
What are you looking for to make sure it's, like, good to say, all right, you just come once a month now?
Gotcha. So a lot of that is going to be based off them. You know, a lot of people come in with symptoms of something, and what I often tell people is pain is the last thing to show up, and it's usually the first thing to leave, right? So typically people in pain tend to see results really quickly. So if I give someone a care plan of 6 visits or 12 visits, which is most common for me, they're usually good after that amount, right? If they're not in pain, they haven't been in pain for a few visits, you know, palpating their spine, feeling it, they feel okay, they're less tense, then we're going to be like, all right, let's try 2 weeks just to see how you do, right? See if you have any flare-ups, see if anything else is going on. You're okay after that? Great. Once a month is usually what I recommend after that.
how often you get like you go backward? Have you ever had to go backwards? Like I'll go once a month, and then next thing you know, they're back every 2 weeks. Probably rare.
Not very often.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe sometimes that happens and they find something else that works for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, like, what are they doing at home? Are they sleeping on their stomach type stuff?
Right, and that's the thing you got to be careful of, right? It's like, what are you doing outside of here that's making things worse all the time, right? Are you sleeping on your stomach, or are you sitting at a desk at work and all your screens are to the left or to the right? And so,
is your screen down, eye level?
Yeah.
The one cool thing I think about him in the office that people love is he's real and going to give you only what you need. He's not going to just try to sell a huge plan. Yeah, you can make more money, but if he thinks you just need to come in a month, he'll tell you. And if you feel like you need to come more because you're the one putting this, like, working out hard, like, he doesn't get to see all that kind of stuff. So that's after they do that care plan, he might say, okay, see you in 2 weeks. See you in a month. They might feel like, I like getting adjusted every two weeks because I know what I'm doing to my body outside. I work hard. I have a lot of stress. Like, he doesn't get to see that stuff. So that's why he said he goes based off, like, how you feel too.
What do you think one of the number one things people are doing outside of here that, like, is probably making them come back? Like, bad habits. What do you think some of the most common bad habits are?
Probably sitting at an office desk.
Really?
Yeah. And I'll have a lot of people say, oh, they don't allow standing desks at my work, or, oh, I don't want to pay for a standing desk when my work won't pay for it. Well, it's like, well, we need to do something, right? Because your setup's not working. So typically, best case scenario for someone, I say, have a situation where you can move around throughout the day. Like, have a period where you're sitting down, have a period where you're standing up. Get one of those bouncy balls if you want. I don't care, but get up and move every hour or so and change it up.
Yeah, there's a couple people that work with me that are in the desk, and they're always trying to, like, do everything from the desk. I was like, dude, just get up. Like, just get up. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't, my chair's either, like, a stool that I'm half sitting in, or I want to go, like, move around and talk to people.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to sit there too much.
Right. Yeah.
So we mentioned it before, just to make sure you knew, was the good morning thing, and seated versus standing good morning, I guess exercise.
Gotcha. I think seated's really hard, honestly.
Yeah.
It seems harder to me when I've tried to do it. It's a very good low back exercise. Gets a lot of stretch on the hamstrings. It just needs to be done really well.
Okay.
It's so easy for people to flex their spine forward, and underweight, that's a tough position to put yourself in. So I would always tell people to, like, master that movement with, like, just a stick. Like, get a broomstick and do it at home if you want to for a while until you, like, really get it down.
So I guess for people who don't know what it is, and I just found out today, can you explain kind of what the go through what the movement is?
Yeah. So typically people will put a bar or stick on their back, arms back here like this, bar sitting behind their back. You're keeping your back as straight as possible in the neutral position, keeping your hips in the same place, and then bending forward just at the waist. So the trick is to do that without flexing your spine forward like this. This is typically when we have, like, disc injuries, is when the spine's flexed forward.
And knees slightly bent.
Yep, and knees slightly bent.
So if you're sitting, that would be a little harder.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how I would do this at this table, but
definitely you wouldn't have weight. That'll be really hard.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. If you're gonna do it seated, your legs needed to be out as wide as they can, and typically at the very end of a bench kind of type setup.
So is that a good back building exercise? Is that, like, one of the top ones, or?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely do that. Get really comfortable at doing that with no weight first, but it's a great exercise for sure.
That's probably one of your favorite yoga videos on YouTube, is them doing good mornings a lot.
Yeah, they'll do, like, a foundation training type video. It's a really good YouTube video for yoga.
What's some other ones that you recommend for some, I guess, building the back?
So that one and kettlebell swings.
Okay.
So the only difference is I see a lot of people do swings with lightweight and then lift it up so it goes over their head. and that's not what I typically look for. Is I want a heavier kettlebell and just focus on like a powerful movement like through the hips.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're extending the hips and that weight like stops like right here in front of you.
Yeah.
So that's a very good lat and low back builder.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about upper back? Because that, it doesn't really get talked about as much or whatever. So I guess injuries, they definitely happen. I just had a buddy I don't know the numbers. He's wearing a neck brace now from a mountain bike crash. And but like, how do you rebuild something like that?
Gotcha. Number one back exercise, upper back, would be definitely any variation of a pull-up.
Okay.
So starting at the most basic level would be some type of lat pull-down machine, right, where you're not holding your whole weight up. But even to the point where you just go to a pull-up bar and you just let yourself hang there.
Really?
And this has probably been the most help for my shoulder, actually, too. Just releasing a lot of that tension and building those trap muscles in a really easy way, right? That's not going to injure you. Really relieves a lot of shoulder pain too.
Interesting.
And I wish I remember the guy's name. There was a researcher that like did a big study of like a whole range of shoulder injuries, and they had everyone just do like a hang from a pull-up bar, and like 90% of them like resolved with just hanging from a pull-up bar.
Wow.
Like with just your body weight.
Dang, I'm gonna start doing that. I'm just gonna go to the gym, just hang there, and then leave.
Yeah, like I'm good.
Throw a doorway or whatever.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on like as recovery or whatever? Like do you cryotherapy or sauna? Do you like look into that at all or?
A little bit. There's a cold plunge guy that's become really popular called Wim Hof.
Name sounds
Heard
familiar.
of him before, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's done like some crazy like marathons, and he'll like run in like the snow like barefoot, like with shorts on. The guy's pretty crazy, but like he swears by cryotherapy to like eliminate like all the inflammation kind of in your body, and research has backed him up so far. I've done it at points, but not consistently.
Yeah. I've done one, and I don't know if that did anything. I just did one. So.
Right. It's one of those things. It's like you need to do it daily or at least a few times a week to really see any results. But
you guys go to a lot of events. You guys just went to one last weekend. I know you got one coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We got Noon to Moon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Rule 3 and Bike Fest.
Man, you guys are all over the place.
Yeah.
And then the one I saw that really caught my eye is you were at a rock climbing one. Mm-hmm. What is something that you're adjusting or helping or they're out of whack with? Just because they're like basically all over on the rock and they're kind of like, I don't know, everywhere.
Yeah. So kind of the same as mountain bikers as far as wrist, right? And they need excellent grip strength, so wrists tend to be really tight. Just the awkward positions they put their arms and shoulders into, that mid back is definitely tight and restricted as well. They're so muscular, overall. Compared to most people, right? Because of the upper body strength that they need. But generally, their low backs are pretty good, right? There's less going on in the low back as far as mountain bikers are concerned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think what's cool is you guys show up to these events and you're like, yeah, just stop on over here, all right, and I'll go back to what you're doing.
Yeah, have fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you were just at the ladies thing. I don't know what it was.
Girls Gone Gravel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, you guys just they're out on a gravel ride and just come back in, and you guys just kind of like they're tight probably from their ride or mostly.
Yeah. I look at those events as a good way of like showing people, what an adjustment looks like. I feel like a lot of the people that we see at those events wouldn't normally come to a chiropractor because it's such a small percentage of the population sees one. So it's a good opportunity to be like, hey, you know what? That guy's doing that for free. I could go ask questions too. Like, there's nothing stopping me. I feel really tight and right now anyway, so it's a perfect time.
Yeah, you guys definitely have it there. That's good thinking. Like, hey, let's just go out to these events, show them who we are and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really cool he's an amazing adjuster, but it's awesome to see people asking so many questions while we're there. Obviously gets our name out, making them feel better, but the education is the huge part that we are trying to show people, that you don't go to medication first and all this. Try, all natural healing. We also, he helps like once a month, it was every other week, with an NWA shark swimming team, showing kids at a young age, like chiropractic can help you now. So when you get older, you won't have the same injuries maybe your parents did from doing some reckless things.
Yeah, we were talking about when I was setting up, you guys were pretty young, and you were saying, hey, get it now before you're 70.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And the one guy's like, huh? And then,
It's crazy.
but it's a good point, mm-hmm. But like, kind of goes back to people like, I'll go once I feel pain.
Yep.
Yeah. That's just human nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So how do you like just say, hey, let's get ahead of it? How do you, like, I don't know, I guess, how do you tell someone that?
Yeah, so it's really helpful to do kind of those swimming events, right? Like she mentioned, where we see kids, because then they're like, oh yeah, I'm not in pain, but that felt really great. So they continue on care later on in life, and they can they can recommend it to other people.
Sleeping better, more mobility in their shoulders. I mean, they notice like things that they didn't think they were, like, I feel fine, and then they're swimming better, sleeping better, focused in school better.
Yeah.
And there's so many. It's a lot of people like think of chiropractors maybe just as like a back doctor or spine, but it's actually when he's adjusting the joints, relieving tension off your nervous system. And so some people think of them as like a nervous system doctor as well.
Yeah. It's hard when people get to the point when they come in here and it's like a 35-year-old, and they're like, it just happened yesterday. I was just, putting on my shirt, right? Like, that's how we get hurt when you turn 30. And it's like, no, that was just the last straw, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You've had something going on there for a while now, and it's been building up to this point. Yeah. So getting adjusted 1 or 2 times over the course of, 4 months isn't necessarily going to keep that away.
Right. You're just kind of like, putting it under the carpet or right under the rug, however you want to say it.
I'll push it down until I'm 40 or 50 maybe.
Yeah, and that thing's coming out full steam.
Yeah.
The best way we've gotten kids in our office is their parents coming first, because they want to make sure this is their baby. So parents trusting us, and then we educate our parents and say, hey, how about you bring your kid in? They might not be having this issue, but it could help them, future, focus, sleep. What have you noticed different that you didn't realize? Like, you came in for lower back pain, what are their changes? And then they start thinking, I've had better bowel movements, I've slept better. Like insomnia patients usually are sleeping 1 to 2 hours more a night. And so we just tell them like those kind of things, educate them, and then they start bringing their kids in.
Yeah, not to be super weird, but I don't think a lot of people think bowel movement would be something. Right? Yeah.
And it's not something that's typically mentioned, right, as an issue until after the fact that's helped them. It's like, hey, I don't know if this is weird, but I went to the bathroom and I haven't been doing that.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah, but it's really important, right?
Yeah.
Because it's even a cause for back pain, right? So
yeah.
Why is it helping more with that? Like, your adjustments helping? Yeah,
it's just releasing a lot of tension, especially in the low back and pelvis, and
it
helps everything move better.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What's insane is like our body, we're like, it's got so much going on, but it's also a tight spot. There's lots of stuff in there. Like one little, movement on something is going to change something else completely, and we just don't think about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know being adjusted helps with headaches. I mean, I've never had to deal with that, but like, how does that help a headache? Like,
so there's a few different mechanisms that could help with. So for one, if you have a lot of tension in your neck, that's going to pull on the base of your skull and really cause a lot of tension type headaches. So that's the main one. So those tend to be easier to fix, but also got to think of other things too. Like there's spinal fluid, right? So if you've ever heard someone get a lumbar puncture, right? They get a lumbar puncture in their low back, right? So we have fluid running up and down our spine into our brain. Well, if there's such a small amount of space from the spine up into the brain, right, there'd be reason to think, oh, someone has all this forward head posture, right? My joints aren't in a great position, so there's a lot of stress and inflammation there. it's going to limit how much fluid can circulate back and down the spine, also causing headaches that way too.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
The coolest thing was when we first opened, we had a patient coming in. They were unable to work because of their migraines were so severe.
Wow.
Amazing guy. We would put him on the rolling table. Right when he'd sit up, he would have to go in a dark room. Like, that's how severe it was. He probably is our longest care plan, and he followed it because, and, you know, his wife didn't want him to do it. Like, she never maybe thought about all natural healing that way. Like, this isn't going to help, you know. He kept coming 3 times a week. He was probably 3 months. He's now back to work. We were seeing him like once a month. Now we just see him random. And it's pretty cool to see him going from not able to work, have to be in a dark room, secluded completely. And now he's just getting to do his normal job.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was a miracle.
Was you all the first chiropractor he ever went to? Or do you know about that?
Yeah,
we were.
Wow.
And it's something special when you like adjust someone for the first time and it's like a grown man just starts crying on your table
Yeah, that'd be
because
tough.
of relief, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on?
Well, I had to turn my light off because so it was dark in there, and so she keeps on looking over, like seeing someone crying. She's like, "Are we?
Well,
like, are we
and
good?
he was
like,
grabbing
what's going on?"
Parker's wrist so tight, and I couldn't see what was going on. I'm thinking, do I need to be calling someone?
Yeah,
Or-
it's like, no, we're good. We're
Yeah,
good.
I mean, he literally
We're having a
felt so
moment.
much relief. This doesn't always happen like the first adjustment, but he had so much relief. Like, he just started bawling in that one adjustment. And that doesn't mean he went straight uphill with,
Yeah.
you know, it was sometimes healing takes a little bit of time. You go up, down, but then eventually it just takes off.
That's pretty crazy.
It was cool. That was probably the coolest moment. That was probably the first month we opened.
Right,
And it's
yeah.
because his friend said, I think probably one of us were talking about headaches. He'd even come in with headaches. That's why it's good to educate people, tell your friends about everything that's helped you. And he's like, oh, my friend has headaches. I'm bringing him in. And because his friend told him that, that's why he was in. And now he's back to work. He wasn't able to provide for his family for a while.
What do you think most people who have headaches probably don't go to a chiropractor? They just think, oh, I just get them, right?
Right.
And they could just come here and not even know that you could probably easily fix them.
It's hard to say. They just don't associate it with the spine.
Yeah.
At all, right? It's just my head, right? There's something in my brain causing a headache. I know that if I take ibuprofen, it's better for a few hours, right? So there's
That's
just
crazy.
that lack of association with low back pain, right? That's kind of our hallmark is that's the only thing we can help with.
Yeah, so I'm real weird about taking pills. I'm not like, so I've had ACL surgery, and the first one I took like the Percocets, whatever, and then the next one I didn't take any. I took 2.
Yeah.
Even like the PT doctor told my mom, and I was like, I don't know, late teens. He's like, I don't know what's with this kid. Like, does he not have pain? She's like, I don't know. He's been like that his whole life. You know?
Yeah.
And just like now, so I just had a crash, and someone's like, oh, get some ibuprofen for the inflammation. And I got some, and I still don't take it just because I'm just like, I'm not used to ever taking, besides like, you know, vitamins in the morning, but
Right.
it's just weird to me. Like, to think some people can, I don't know, it's hard, I'm not trying to judge them, but like to think, now you just pop pills and you're good to go out through your day like that.
Yeah, it's hard when someone comes in so much pain and they're like, okay, how much should I take? When should I take it? And I was like, first of all, and that's kind of out of my scope, right? I can't really tell you not to take or to take something, but we want that inflammation there, right?
Yeah.
It's your body's way of healing those tissues, and we don't want to delay that any longer,
Yeah.
right? And not to mention, those are terrible for your digestive system
Yeah.
anyways. So it's one of those things where it's really hard to tell someone, it's like, you know what, don't take that, right? And it's bad for you. But again, if someone's 10 out of 10 pain, they're going to take it, right?
Kind of like
Most
fevers.
of the time.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like fevers. You're like,
Yeah.
fever's good. This is telling your body's fighting
need
back.
it.
Fevers
Yeah.
are good.
Right. Yeah.
What's the thing you take when you have a fever or like the flu, like a hottie toddy or something? You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah,
you,
it's-
whiskey and tea or something?
Oh, I think yeah.
And like you're basically gonna sweat and it's just gonna pour out and it's just like miserable, but like it supposedly like flushes it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't. There's part of me. It's like when there's pain or there's terrible. Like, how can I know if I increase this or if I do something or whatever, eventually, it's fighting against, I don't know. That's just weird.
Right. Yeah. The pain's there for a reason, right?
Yeah. So what's your all's next event that you're going to go to? The Kohler thing?
Noon to Moon. We're excited for that. They've been really promoting it big, and I'm especially excited because it's right here at Kohler. Yeah. We ride there. We love that area, so I think that will be super fun, and they're excited to host, if you can't tell, which is awesome.
Yeah. It's nice because this one really seems to be like more of a community event.
Yeah.
Right?
I always forget about that parking lot back there that's in the back behind Thunderdome.
That's where we were. We're for the gravel, Girls Gone Gravel, and it was such a great area to set up. And then the week after that, we have Rule of Three. That's a 3-day event. I think we're just going to be helping at Meteor Cafe, at the Expo, and then at the finish line. And then we got the Bentonville Bike Fest, which is really exciting for us because that's kind of the one thing that got us started. I think I called Jesse Hurd maybe like December. I saw this event just researching. We're hustlers. We wanted to do well. This is our family we're supporting. And so, hey, can we donate chiropractic care, like get a booth and everything? And she brought us in, and we opened technically July 1st. That was our best month. We finally beat it in January, and now we're just growing and growing word of mouth. But that's a really exciting one for us just because that kind of feels like our anniversary for our office.
Yeah. It was fun because it was like right before we even opened. Like, we'll be open in another week.
And all those patients still are here with us, and it's cool.
And the Bike Fest is going to be twice as big this year.
Yes, so, and it is a sweat fest.
Yeah, I know. So
I don't know how he does it.
I was there. So that was 2 weeks before I moved here, or so you guys basically just moved here. And people are still saying it shouldn't have been that hot as it was. And I was like, it was miserable.
Yeah.
I probably had about 20 body armors throughout the day.
Yeah, it's like we're not
they
trying
had bins everywhere. So.
I mean, I didn't even know if we knew about body armor before then. I'm like, these people are awesome. I mean, we probably both drink like 10 a day. Like, I don't know how we wouldn't have made it without them. And then the vitals.
We rode mountain bikes during like middle of the day, and this guy's like, "You all crazy?" He's like, "When are y'all gonna pass out?"
Yeah, and that one's a cool one because it's like, I think the next 3 we have are all big community events, so that's what's exciting. We like meeting people. Like, we've only been here a year, kind of like you, and we feel part of this. Like you mentioned, someone we know them, which owning a business, I think you have to do that. But it's been fun.
Yeah, and now that you know Jesse Hurd, you're basically you're like in now.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean she's born and raised here, so she knows everybody.
I bet. Now I run with her, and so
yeah. You guys are on a run club, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was telling me about that.
Yeah. We need to get it going again now that it's getting warmer.
Yeah. So what's the best way to reach you guys?
Probably, they could call us. We have our website. It's www.reform-chiropractic.com. There's a link to book right through there. On Instagram. We're pretty cool, friendly people, so I think it's easy to reach us. And we just are trying to spread the knowledge of chiropractic every day.
Yeah, you guys were pretty responsive on Instagram, so you guys are, that was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure you're adjusting, and she's shooting all the messages.
Right.
Yeah.
She's a salesman. I just adjust it.
It makes it really fun. And we brought our new employee in last week, so we're growing. It's really fun.
Well, hey, thanks for having me here, and thanks for chatting about everything you guys do.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you.
We're excited to hook you up with some chiropractic.
Yeah, for sure. I think, when we get off here, I think I'm going to set something up.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right.